Welcome to video lesson 9.4, factoring trinomials. Go ahead and put today's date in the top right hand corner. And our target for today is that I can factor trinomials with a leading coefficient that is not 1. So far when we factored trinomials, they all had a leading coefficient of 1. Today they're not. So factoring trinomials is once again for 3 terms. The ones we look at today in which our leading coefficient is not 1 looks like this right here. We have ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to have a coefficient in front here today. So once again, factoring trinomials is the reverse of FOILing. We're going to keep that in mind as we find our answers today. Alright, so steps. Our first step is to always check all the terms for a GCF. Step 2 is to check, make sure it has 3 terms. It looks like our trinomial up here. So 3 terms, looks like a trinomial. Step 3, find the factors of a coefficient of x squared. So find factors of a, which is our coefficient in front of our x squared, and place them on the addition step of step 4. So we have to find our coefficients of our a, so our factors of our leading coefficient a, and we're going to have to place them on the addition step. I would underline that or make it bold in some way, that way I know what step it goes on, the addition. So step 4, we're going to find 2 numbers that multiply to the last, so that's our c again, and that add, and the same 2 numbers that add to the middle, which is our b, coefficient of x. So that part doesn't change. Now step 5, try all possibilities for step 3 and 4 to work. We're going to have more possibilities where we have that coefficient of a we now have to work in. So try all possibilities. Step 6, it shows our answer. And our answer for this one will have probably a coefficient of a in the front, one of the factors of a. Then plus or minus the first number we find, and then another factor of a in your x, and then could be a plus or a minus the second number we find. So let's see an example on how to use these steps. So example 1, we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. So step 1, check for GCF. My smaller number is 2. 2 cannot go into 7 evenly, so no GCF. Then we go on to step 2, make sure we have 3 terms. It looks like a trinomial. So 1, 2, 3. And we have x squared and x and a constant, so we're good. Step 3 is to find factors of our leading coefficient. So we have a 2 here. And 2 is a prime number, which means the only thing that can make 2 are just 2 and 1. Alright, then step 4, we then find our 2 numbers that multiply to our last. Our last number here is 3. And that add to our middle. And that is 7. Now with this one, we're going to have to play around with our answers a little bit, because now I'm going to have to take my factors of a, 2, and 1, put them over here on my addition step. 2 times and 1 times. Oh, 1 goes on the outside. 2 times, 1 times. There we go. So now we come over here and we say, what can multiply to 3? Well, 3 is also prime, so we know 1 times 3 works. So 1 and 3. So now we have to check the addition step, make sure it works. So 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 times 3 is 3. Equals 5. So that didn't work. But rather than trying to change numbers, I'm just going to change the order of my 1 and my 3. So 3 times 1 is 3. And let's try this again. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 times 1 is 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. So we check. So now we're going to write out our answer. We know it gives us 2 parentheses. Now, I'm going to have to use the factors of a along with my x squared here. So my first coefficient I used for a was 2, so 2x. And then my next one was 1, and I should put an x with him because that x squared means I have 2 x's. But I don't have to show that one, so I'm just going to put x here. So 2x and 1x. Now, this is where you need to pay super close attention, because if you come over here with me, this is where our part of foiling comes into play, is when we look at this addition step. We have 2 times 3 for the first part, and then we have 1 times 1 in that second part. So what we have to do is say, if I want 2 and 3 to be able to be multiplied, they have to be in different parentheses. So if my 2's in my first parenthesis, my plus 3 has to go into the other one. And they're going to make the O for my FOIL. They're going to be the outside terms. So make sure 2x and 3 are the outside. They are. That means the only other place for my 1 to go is into the first parenthesis, so a positive 1. And we check and make sure our 1's are our inside of our FOIL. So 1 and 1, yep. So we're good. Now to check these, we can check them a little bit different than we have in the past. We don't have to FOIL the whole thing to make sure it's correct. We can just multiply our outside, so 2x times 3 is 6x, and 1 times x is 1x, and say 1x plus 6x gives us 7x. And is that the same thing as our middle up here? Yeah, so our middle parts are the same. So that means our answer is correct, and we're good. So our answer is 2x plus 1 times 1x plus 3. So example 2, we have 3x squared plus 11x plus 10. So once again, we check for GCF. Can 3 go into 11 evenly? Nope. So no GCF. Then we check, make sure it looks like a trinomial. It does. So then I find my factors of my leading coefficient of 3. And 3 is prime too, so the only thing that can make 3 are 3 and 1. And then I have to find 2 numbers that multiply to our last number, and that is 10. And 2 numbers that add to our middle, which is 11. Now, I have an extra step here. I'm going to have to put my factors of 3 on my addition step. So it's going to be 3 times that first number, 1 times that second number. Now we try to think of factors of 10. So you can always try 10 and 1 first, but if you come over here, 3 times 10 is going to be 30, so that's going to be too big. And if we change the order, 1 times 10, well, we can try that one. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 times 10 is 10, so that's going to give us 13, so that's not going to work either. So let's think of different factors of 10. 1 and 10 didn't work, so we'll try 2 and 5. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 times 5 is 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. So we're good, that checks. Now, write out our answer. We get 2 parentheses. So now we start off with a 3x squared, and our factors of 3 we used were 3, so we get 3x, and a 1, so I put a 1x. Now we have to come back over here to this addition step and look. I have 3 times 2, so that means they cannot go into the same parenthesis. They have to be the outside of my FOIL. So if 3x is on the outside of the first parenthesis, the only place for my 2 to go is on the outside of my second. Same way here. I have 1 times 5. So that means 5 and 1 cannot go into the same parenthesis since they need to be multiplied. So they're going to make up my inside. So the only other place for my 5 left to go is in the inside of my first parenthesis. Now to check it to make sure we're good, we have 3x times 2, which is 6x. And 5 times x is 5x. 5x plus 6x is 11x. That's the same thing as my middle up there. So we're good. We check. And our answer is 3x plus 5 times x plus 2. Alright, in our last example, we have 10x squared. There we go. 10x squared plus 19x plus 6. So once again, we check for a GCF. So we have our 6 here. 6 can't go into 10 evenly, but 6 can be made by 2, and 2 can go into 10 evenly, but 2 cannot go into 19. So there's no GCF. So then we check for 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. We're good, so we're a trinomial. So I have to take my coefficient in front here, my 10, and find his factors. He actually has multiple sets. He can use 10 times 1 and 2 times 5. Alright, and then we find our 2 numbers that multiply to our last, which is 6. 2 numbers that add to our middle, which is 19. Now, I always suggest trying the first set of factors first. So I'm going to try 10 and 1 over here on my plus sign. So 10 times 1 times. Now let's try to find our factors of 6. So 6 can be made with 6 and 1, but if you look over here, 10 times 6 is going to be 60, so it's going to be too big. So I can go ahead and stop that one. I can try 1 times 6. So 10 times 1 is 10, plus 1 times 6 is 16. Or sorry, 6 and 10 plus 6 is 16, so that's not going to work. So we try other factors of 6. Try 2 and 3. So 10 times 2 is 20. 1 times 3 is 3. So 20 plus 3 is going to give us 23. That's not going to work. If I change the order, 3 times 2, 3 times 2, 10 times 3 is 30. Plus 1 times 2 is 2, so that's going to give us 32. So that didn't work. So since none of our combinations worked, I'm going to say 10 and 1 for my factors of 10 didn't work. And we're going to move on and try 2 and 5. So 2 times, 5 times. So now let's try our 1 times 6. 1 times 6. I'm sorry, 1 and 6. So 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 5 times 6 is 30. That's too big. Try to change the order. So 6 times 1. 6 times 1. So 2 times 6 is 12. Plus 5 times 1 is 5. And that gets us 17, so we're getting a little bit closer. So if 6 and 1 didn't work, let's try 2 and 3. 2 times 3 and 2 and 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 5 times 3 is 15. 4 plus 15 is 19. So we finally found our winning combination. So now we make our 2 parentheses. I have to use the factors of 10 I found. So I used 2 and 5. So 10 broke apart into 2 and 5. So I'm going to have to do 2x and 5x. And then we come over here to our addition step and we look. 2 and 2 are being multiplied, so they cannot go in the same parenthesis. They have to go on the outside. So since I already have a 2 on the outside of my first one, I put my other 2 on the outside of my second one. And 5 times 3 have to be my inside. So the only place for my 3 to go is on the inside of my first parenthesis. Go back and check it and do 2x times 2 is 4x. And 5 times 3 is 15x, and 15x plus 4x gives us 19x. So we check. We're good. That finishes us up. Thank you.